Bulletproof Radio, a state of high performance.
And there's something interesting if you're listening to this right now. Has Brian specifically said the name of any of the things that got him censored or any of the guests? He hasn't, for a very specific reason. We talked about it ahead of time because I would like you to be able to hear this show. And I'm subject to the same things. In fact, many of my friends, there's a group of several hundred people who are working really hard to change the health of the world. And there's actually a group of about 1 million people if you look at the big group, but these are the people with really big voices. All of us are concerned that we can't say the things we want to say. We speak in codes, we allude to things, and it's not just me doing that. So we're likely safe on this episode because we haven't said the name of him who shall not be mentioned, and we haven't said the name of that virus which shall not be mentioned, which is ridiculous. We live in a world where dissent and discussion are important. I look at how the House of Commons works. And as an American, by the way, I'm transplanted to Canada. I've been here for 10 years. And I look at I've literally seen people come to blows when watching videos of how things work in the UK. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to violently disagree without necessarily coming to blows. But suddenly now disagreement isn't something that's allowed anymore. This is new. And it is not healthy. I just didn't exactly know what to do about it. So you're like, okay, first a digital freedom platform, but then running for mayor of London, what went through your head to decide you're going to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question, David. And I had to really think about my own relationship with freedom of speech, kind of like you said. You know, you have to really go back and ask, what is it? Why is it important? And I had a lot of great discussions with people about what it really means. And there's freedom of speech, but there's also freedom to be able to say what you want and listen to someone else. There's this concept of sovereignty over your own body, that as an adult, you should have the right to choose what you put in your body. We have a regulator here in the UK called Ofcom, which tells radio and television channels not to do things. And funny enough, one of my episodes was streamed on one of the television channels and that got taken down.
Good
and
God.
So, you know, it's rife. And yet on the House of Commons, like you said here, they can really go at it with an open and honest debate. And the more I thought about it, I agree with what you just said. I mean, if you look back in human history, you know, the greatest advances in civilization come from the best ideas that come from an open and honest debate. And when I look back, you know, if we had had these digital platforms, for example, as an extreme case during the times of slavery, could I have talked about abolishing slavery? That probably would have been against community policy. Same with the right for women to vote. Same with so many issues, you know, that probably wouldn't have been accepted at the time. And yet the fact that we could openly talk about this created great change that allows us to where we are today. So to shut it down now is something we have to really think about. I think a lot of people don't realize the value of freedom of speech. And so when it's slowly taken away from us, we don't notice. And when it's our digital platforms, David, they say, well, it's a private company and, you know, we can do what we want in a private company. But when it's locked down, it's actually the only method of communication. You could argue it's a public utility, especially when there's an ad for the NHS underneath every YouTube video. You know, there is precedent in this country that when a private company acts as a public utility, there's a history with the London Stock Exchange, that it actually does come over the laws of the land. And so